Hi everybody. Here I am completely outside of my comfort zone because I'm super camera shy. So bear with me if I'm making weird faces or saying strange things like calling your knee your elbow, which isn't that strange for any of you who've practiced with me before. What I'm going to do today is a pretty bare bones practice because I know many of you do not have any props at home. So for this practice, we are going to use a blanket, which could easily be a folded up towel. We're only going to be using it really to support and cushion our knee. We'll also use a block, but you could use a big book or a couple of books tied together underneath your hands if you don't have a block. I won't be using the block for much more than a little bit of hand support to elevate the spine a bit if needed. So with that, let's get started. We'll start off on our back with the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor. You can walk your feet just a little bit wider than your hips and allow your knees to knock in towards each other. Let your belly soften back towards your spine. This is a great position to allow your hip flexors to relax in a positional release. So these muscles are really engaged in our fight or flight response. And since we're all a little extra stressed right now, coming to lay down with the knees bent and feet flat on the floor might be a good way to start the practice in a grounding way. So allow your hands to face up towards the ceiling. The arms can be at about a letter A shape or even a little higher into a letter T shape if needed. And begin to allow your pelvis to settle a little heavier into the floor. Begin to notice the mid-back and the back of the skull and how they're resting on the mat. Really letting go of the bones of the feet, pelvis, mid-back, skull, and backs of the arms. And just begin to notice the parts of your body in contact with the floor. Take a slow, easy breath in. And as you exhale, sense the parts of your body in contact with the floor, spreading out and getting a little heavier. Take that easy breath all the way down into the belly. Breathing slowly in through the nose. Allow the belly to expand, the lower back to expand into the floor. And then as you exhale, simply allow the belly to soften back, rib cage narrow slightly. Another slow breath in, filling out the lower belly, filling out the low back, bringing the breath all the way up into the lower ribs. Exhaling, feel those ribs narrow and get heavier, tailbone gets heavier, belly softened back. Your next inhale fills out the belly, widens the rib cage, and lifts the sides of the chest up towards the ceiling. Your slow, smooth exhale lowers the chest, heavies the rib cage, and allows the tailbone to poke into the floor just slightly. Continuing to breathe here, slowly, smoothly breathing in. And breathing out. And continuing with that breath, allowing the breath to come in through the nose and out through the nose. Trying to extend the length of your inhale just a little bit. looking for our deepest breath. Just allowing the breath to be smooth and easy in and out through the nose. Continuing with your slow, steady breath, begin to notice the back of your pelvis. Begin to get a little bit heavier into the right side of your pelvis, your right hip. Let your left knee knock in a little. And then slowly come back through center, shifting the weight now a little heavier into the left side, letting your right knee knock in. Slowly coming back through center and all the way over to the right. Just allowing the legs to follow along with the subtle movements of the pelvis. These movements are very small to start. This actually comes from more of a somatic movement practice, which I'll introduce you guys to in another video. We're just shifting the weight from one side to the other, keeping the motion very small. And then with each successive shift from side to side, just beginning to allow the legs to go a little closer towards the floor with every motion. I'll keep my tailbone staying a little heavier, allow that natural curve to be in the lower back, so not pressing my lower back into the floor. And the next time you shift your legs over to the right side, just pause there for a moment, hang out with the legs all the way over to the right. If this is uncomfortable, certainly don't go all the way, or you could slide a blanket or a block under the outside of your right thigh. Just hang out here and breathe slowly into the belly. On your next exhale, sway the legs back through center and all the way over to the left, allowing the legs to come over to the left side. Taking a slow breath in. And an easy, heavy breath out. One more inhale. Use your exhale to take the legs back to center. Heel toe your feet in line with your sit bones. Walk your feet in a little closer towards you, almost as though you're going to come up into bridge. And then draw your right knee in towards your chest. Interlace your hands around your right shin bone. Pause here for a moment. Keep your left knee bent for now. Taking a slow breath in. And a complete breath out. Begin to pull that right shin bone a little closer towards the right armpit, so you're angling it off on about a 45-ish degree angle. And then from here, option to stay with the left knee bent or straighten out your left leg. If you're straightening out your left leg, you're pressing the back of your heel firmly into the floor and sliding it towards the wall in front of you, so that you're beginning to push the whole back line of your leg towards the mat, feeling your left glute engaged. Take a slow breath in. And a complete breath out. One more inhale. And a slow, smooth exhale. And bending your left knee, bring it back onto the floor. Let the foot land. Release the shin and let your right foot land back onto the floor. Pausing here. Take a breath in. And a full breath out. Draw your left knee in towards your chest. Interlace your hands around your left shin bone. Pausing here with the right knee bent. Slowly breathing into the belly. Slow, smooth exhale breath. And one more breath in. Your exhale, begin to draw your left shin bone a little closer to the left armpit. And from here, you may wish to straighten your right leg out, landing the back of the heel onto the floor, but then pushing the sole of your foot towards the wall in front of you as you press the back of your right hamstring towards the floor. Feel the right glute engage here. So squeezing your bum just a little, sending it down towards the back of the right heel. One more breath in. A slow breath out. One more inhale breath. And exhale, sliding your right foot back onto the floor. Release the left shin, pausing here. Open the arms back up into that letter A shape. Take a slow inhale. And a slow exhale. Draw your knees back in towards your chest. Grip the fronts of your shin bones and just begin to rock a little from side to side, slowly shifting your weight from one side to the other. Massaging out your lower back and hips just a little bit. You could try actively pulling the shin bones in towards your chest and pressing the low back into the floor a little bit more. Or you could allow the knees to hover just above the hip area and maintain that neutral spine, that little bit of an arch through the low back. It'll just change the sensation in your body a little bit, so you can play around with those two options. Rocking your hips back to center. Draw your knees back in towards you, and then take the soles of your feet together and your knees wide. You can reach down for your ankles. Maybe if you're just getting into a little bit of movement today, you might grab here. Or you could reach for the outsides of your feet. Hanging onto your feet, pull your feet in towards your chest as you press your knees away from you. Take a slow inhale, filling out the lower back, sides of the waist, and the belly. And a complete exhale, letting your bones get heavier into the floor. Another inhale breath, spreading the knees wider away from one another. Exhale, poking your tailbone a little into the floor. One more breath in. And on the breath out, you can release your feet. Let the soles of the feet come to the floor. And then we'll roll onto one side. Press yourself up. And coming into a tabletop. Tabletop has your hands beneath your shoulders and your knees beneath your hips. Push a little heavier into your fingertips here. Find a nice long spine, reaching the tailbone back and the crown of your head forward. Take a slow inhale as you draw a line up the wall with your tailbone. Lengthen out your belly. Draw the shoulders down the back, send your chest forward, look forward, inhaling. Exhale, tuck your tail. Press the floor away, push the space between the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling, then tuck your chin, take a peek back at your thighs. Take a slow inhale, lift up through the tail, lengthen the belly, shrug the shoulders down the back. Look forward. Exhale, rounding your low back, middle back, upper back, tucking your chin. Inhale into your cow. Exhale, rounding the spine to your cat pose. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. One more breath into your cow. And then from here, tuck your toes, keep that cow shape in your spine, lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. You can begin to pedal out your feet in your down dog, shifting the weight from one heel to the other, bending the knees. You might also like to lift the heels nice and high. Bend your knees a lot and stick your tailbone and your sit bones back behind you. Press your chest back towards your thighs. And then grounding down through the heels, they don't have to land. Lifting up through your sit bones. Find a nice long spine. If you need to generously bend your knees in your down dog, go ahead and do that. It's better to have lots of length in the spine than straight legs and a rounded spine. 2 breaths here. Move to the top of your mat, step your feet up, take flat back, hands coming up your shins. Find a nice long spine here. I'm pressing my shins into my hands and my hands into my shins. My knees are still bent to not overstretch the hamstrings. Reach your heart forward, reach the crown of the head forward, and feel just a little bit of an engagement into the upper back muscles by drawing the shoulder blades back towards one another just a little bit. Then bend your knees, allow your belly, ribs, and chest to land onto your thighs. Let your arms dangle here, let your head dangle. Take a moment, you might even walk your feet a little wider than your hips here. You could sway from side to side and just checking in with your head to make sure that you are letting go of the neck muscles completely. You might rotate the head from side to side, really letting the crown of the head dangle down towards the floor. Coming back to center, continue to allow the head to hang. Bend your knees enough that you can release your fingertips to the floor and then heel toe the feet back underneath you if they were wide. Bend your knees even more. Scoop the tailbone down as you push your heels into the floor. Begin to round your spine one vertebrae at a time. Press the hands back and wide as the ribs stack over the hips. Arms stretch all the way up and overhead. Move through thick air as you squeeze your upper arm bones towards each other. And then folding forward, bending your knees a lot. Let your belly, ribs, and chest begin to land back onto the thighs. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling to fold, bend your knees, land your hands, step back to plank. Pausing in your plank. Let's all land the knees for this first one. Slowly landing the knees. Squeeze your heels up towards your sit bones and then lower your chest all the way down to the floor. Lengthen out one leg and then the other. Firmly press the ankle and hip creases into the floor as you squeeze your bum down towards your heels. Allowing the chest and face to hover above the floor for a moment before we come up into our cobra. Draw the shoulder blades down the back just a little. Hug the elbows in slightly. And then from here, take an inhale, stretch your heart forward. Pull back on the hands as you lift your heart up. Slowly land the ribs and chest back down to the floor. Press yourself back to child's pose with narrow knees. I won't lower my head too far so that you can still hear me. Press your fingertips into the floor. Create a sense of pulling on the hands as you tuck your tail, round your spine, pull yourself forward using the strength of your belly to change the shape in the spine. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Look towards the top of the mat. Step the feet up. Take flat back, hands coming up your shins. We'll pick up the pace a little here. Release to forward fold. Allow the head to hang. Take a big breath in. Use one more exhale to let the head dangle a little bit more. Bend the knees, round the spine, rise up one vertebrae at a time. Hands press back and wide, slowly squeeze the biceps up towards the ears. Fingertips may come to touch. Press the hands wide, heart forward, thighs back as you fold all the way back down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, land your hands, step back to your plank. Option to land the knees here once again. or lower all the way to your belly from your toes. Coming down onto your toes, lengthen out one leg and then the other. Firmly press the ankle and hip creases into the floor as you lengthen your tailbone back towards your heels. Hovering chest and head, create a sense of pulling back on your hands a little bit here, almost like you're trying to propel yourself forward on a slippy slide. Take an inhale as you rise up through your heart. Exhale, fold. Hands shift back a little, press yourself back, child's pose. Glue your fingertips to the floor, hook the tailbone, and then round your spine forward through cat pose. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Look to the top of your mat. Step your feet up. Take flat back. Hands coming up your shins. Release to forward fold. Bend your knees. Round your spine. Rise up 1 vertebrae at a time. Squeeze and lift the arms up. Take a fold forward, bending your knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Land your hands. Step back to plank. From knees or toes, lower to the belly. Untuck your toes. Pull back on the hands forward through the heart as you rise to your low cobra. Land your chest back down. Press yourself back. Child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat pose. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat. Step your feet up, take flat back, halfway lift. Bending your knees to fold. Round your spine up, 1 vertebrae at a time. Lift up through the arms. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, land your hands, step back to plank. From knees or toes, lower to your belly. Lengthen the legs. Low cobra, dragging the hands back, reaching the heart forward, lift up. Land your chest back down. Hands shift back just a little. Press yourself back to child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat, tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Changing it up here. Look to the top of your mat. Step your feet up. Flat back, hands coming up your shins. Forward fold, bending your knees. Keep the knees bent generously here. Sit your bum down almost in line with your knees and then stretch your fingers back behind you. Push the fingernails up towards the ceiling. Find strength through the arms here. Reach your heart forward. Then arms reach forward, look forward, rise all the way up to your chair pose. Pausing here. 1 breath in. On the breath out, squeeze the legs straight as the arms reach down alongside the body. Inhale, spread the arms wide, rise all the way up. Exhale, folding forward, bending the knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, land your hands, stepping back to plank. From knees or toes, lower to the belly. Untuck the toes, rise up through the chest, low cobra. Land your chest. Press yourself back, child's pose. Glue your hands to the floor, pull the belly up and in as you round forward. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat, step your feet up. Hands come up your shins, flat back. Forward fold. Bend your knees, stretch the arms back behind you. Reach the arms forward and up, rise to your chair. Shift your weight into your right foot and then lift just the heel of your left foot. Keep the arms lifted. Come right up onto the tippy toe of your left foot and then squeeze your left heel up towards your sit bone. Flex the left foot, push the left foot back behind you, ground your toes at the back of the mat, come into your crescent lunge. Take a big breath in. And on the breath out, fold forward over your front leg. Slowly reach those arms back behind you. Fingernails lift to the ceiling, hearts forward. Arms reach forward and up, coming all the way back up. Exhale, forward to fold. Reach the arms back. Reach the arms forward and up, coming all the way back up to your crescent. And folding forward. Inhale, rise all the way back up. This time as you exhale, ground your hands down to the floor. Step back through your right foot. Lower to your belly. Untuck your toes. Rise up through the chest. Land in your chest. Press yourself back to child's pose. Glue your hands to the floor. Round your spine forward through cat. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat, step your feet up, flat back, hands coming up your shins. Release to forward fold, bending your knees. Stretch the arms back behind you. Reach the arms forward and up, rise to your chair. Pausing here. Shifting your weight a little heavier to your left foot. Lift up just the heel of your right foot. Then lift the toe, lift the whole foot. Press the foot back behind you, slowly stretching those toes towards the back of the mat. Arrive in your crescent lunge. Take a big breath in. On the breath out, fold over your front thigh. Stretch the arms back behind you. Inhale, rise. And exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, folding forward. Land your hands. Left foot steps back from knees or toes, lower to your belly. Untuck your toes. Rise up through the chest, low cobra. Land your chest. Press yourself back, child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat, tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Look to the top of your mat, step your feet up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bending your knees a lot, stretch the arms back behind you. Inhale, rise all the way up. Shift your weight to your right foot. Squeeze the left heel up to your sit bone. Slowly step that left foot to the back of the mat. Take an inhale breath. Rise to your crescent. As you exhale, fold over your front leg. Reach the arms back behind you. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, folding forward. This time land your hands on the mat. Come onto the fingertips of your left arm. Reach your right arm forward and all the way up to stack over your left arm, coming into your twisted lunge. Squeeze your right sit bone towards your left inner thigh and your left inner thigh towards your right sit bone. Push back through your left heel. Draw the shoulders down the back and reach your heart towards the front of the room. On your next exhale, stretch the arm overhead. Take it all the way back down to the floor. Press your hands into the floor. Really push the floor away to step your right foot back with ease. And then lower to your belly. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, fold. Press yourself back to child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat pose. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Look to the top of your mat. Step your feet up. Take flat back, hands coming up your shins. Release to forward fold, bending your knees. Stretch the arms back behind you. Reach the arms forward and up, rise all the way up. Shifting your weight to your left foot. Squeeze your right heel up to your sit bone. Step your right foot to the back of the mat. Take an inhale, rise up through the chest. Use your exhale to fold forward, stretching the arms back behind you. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, folding forward, ground your hands to the floor. And come up onto the fingertips of your right hand. You could be using a block here as well if you needed. Stretch your left arm forward. Bring it up and over top of the right arm, pausing in your twisted lunge. Take a breath in.
And a breath out. Squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. Reach up through the left fingers as you press the fingernails into an imaginary wall behind you. On your next exhale, stretch the left arm overhead. Take it all the way back down to the floor. Really push the floor away as you step your left foot back. Stay lifted through the belly. Lower to your belly. Untuck your toes. Rise up through your chest. Low cobra. Land your chest. Press yourself back. Child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Move to the top of your mat. Step your feet up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees a lot. Stretch the arms back behind you. Reach them forward. Rise up to your chair. Shift your weight to your right foot. Squeeze and lift the left heel up. Push the left foot back. Land those back toes. Take an inhale. Lift up through the front body. As you exhale, land the belly, ribs, and chest over your thighs. Reach back through the fingers. Inhale, rise all the way back up. As you exhale, fold forward. This time, just landing your left hand. Right arm stretches forward and up. Take an inhale breath. Use your exhale to stretch the right arm down to the inside of your right foot. Spin your back foot in. Push into that back foot a lot and then stretch your left arm forward. Circle yourself up to warrior 2. Pausing here. Press out through the right shin bone. Press strongly into your back foot. Take a peek out over your right middle fingertip. And on your next exhale breath, slowly cartwheel the arms back down to the floor. Keep pushing, pushing, pushing into that back leg. Unplug your back foot. Right foot steps back. Lower to your belly. Untuck your toes. Rise up through the chest. Land your chest. Press yourself back. Child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Move to the top of your mat. Step your feet up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling to fold. Take an inhale. Stretch the arms back behind you. Reach the arms forward and up. Shift your weight to your left foot. Squeeze right heel up. Step the right foot to the back of your mat. Take an inhale. Stretch up through the front body. Exhale, folding forward. Fingernails press towards the back of the room. Keep your heart reaching forward. Then rise all the way back up. Exhale, folding forward. Land your right hand. Left arm reaches forward and up. Pausing here. Shrug the shoulders down the back a little. Reach out through those left fingers. Your next exhale, press the left arm overhead. Take it down to the inside of your left foot. Spin your back foot in. Push strongly into your back foot. Stretch your right arm forward. Rise all the way up, warrior 2. Keep pushing into that back foot. You can walk your left foot a little further forward if you want to come down a little lower into that front leg. Otherwise, there's no problem at all in staying a little bit lifted if that's what your body needs today. One more breath in. On the breath out, folding to the side. Cartwheel the hands down, unplug your back foot. Left foot steps back. Lower to your belly. Untuck your toes. Rise up through your chest. Land your chest. Press yourself back. Child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat pose. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. To the top of your mat, step your feet up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, stretch the arms back behind you. Reach the arms forward and up, rise to your chair. Shift your weight to the right foot. Squeeze your left heel up to your sit bone. Step your left foot to the back of the mat. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, fold over that front leg. Stretch the arms back behind you. Inhale, rise all the way back up. Exhale, folding forward, land your left hand. Stretch your right arm forward and up. Take the arm overhead now, take it to the inside of your right foot. Back foot spins in, push into that back foot a lot. Reach long through the left arm as you stretch it to the front of the room, then rise all the way up, warrior two. Flip your front hand, stay low through that front leg. Reach your right hand into the room, then stretch it up and back, reverse warrior. Bend your top elbow. Keep your right side body long as you hinge to the side. Land your right forearm on your right thigh, left arm overhead. Reverse your warrior. Push strongly into that back foot. Rise all the way back up. Look up at the right hand. Then a slow motion cartwheel back down to the floor. Unplug your back foot. Right foot steps back. Lower to the belly. Untuck your toes. Rise up through the chest. Land your chest. Press yourself back. Child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat pose. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Down dog. Look to the top of your mat. Step your feet up. Take flat back. Forward fold, bending your knees. Sit your bum down. Reach the arms back. Reach the arms forward, rise to your chair. Shift your weight to your left foot. Squeeze right heel to sit bone. Step right foot to the back of the mat. Take an inhale as you stretch up through the front body. Exhale as you fold forward, reaching the arms back. Inhale, rise all the way back up. Exhale, folding forward, land your hands. Left arm stretches forward and up for your twist. Take the arm back overhead to the inside of your left foot. Ground down through the back foot. Right arm stretches forward, rise all the way up to your warrior two. Take an inhale breath. Flip your front hand, reach it into the room. Grounding down through that front leg. Lift your left arm up and back, reverse warrior. Keep your side body long as you hinge to the side. Left forearm lands on left thigh, right arm overhead. Reverse your warrior. Slow cartwheel back to the floor. Unplug your back foot, palms to the mat, left foot steps back, lower to your belly. Untuck your toes, rise up through your chest, land your chest. Press yourself back, child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat pose, tuck your toes, lift your hips, down dog. Look to the top of your mat, step your feet up, flat back, hands coming up your shins. Release to forward fold, bending your knees, arms stretch back. Heart reaches forward, rise all the way up. Shift your weight to your right foot. Squeeze your left heel up to your sit bone. Step your left foot back. Inhale, rise up through the chest. Exhale, fold forward, arms reaching back. Inhale, rise all the way back up. Exhale, fold forward, land your left hand. Right arm stretches forward and up. Taking your twist. Take the arm overhead, all the way back down to the floor. Take it to the inside of your right foot. Back foot spins in. Ground heavily into that back foot as you stretch your left arm forward. Rise all the way up. Warrior two. Flip your front hand, reach it into the room. Stretch it up and back. Reverse warrior. Top elbow bends, hinge to the side. Right forearm to right thigh, left arm overhead. Inhale, reverse warrior. Stay lifted and long through your right side body as you straighten your front leg. Draw back through your right hip crease. Begin to hinge to the side. You can allow that left hip to roll forward a little bit as you fold to the side. Keep the spine long. Take the hand down to the inside of your right knee or right shin, and then stretch your left arm up. Take a peek up at your left thumb with your right eye. Or you could option to stare at the wall in front of you if the neck is cranky at all today. Bend deeply into your front leg. Stretch your right arm forward as your left arm reaches back. Reverse your warrior once again. Slow motion cartwheel back to the floor. Unplug your back foot. Right foot steps back. Lower to the belly. Untuck your toes. Rise up through your chest. Land your chest. Press yourself back. Child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat. Step your feet up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, bending your knees. Reach the arms back behind you. Oops. Reach the arms forward and up. Rise all the way up. Shift your weight to your left foot. Squeeze right heel up to your sit bones. Slowly reach back through those right toes. Inhale, lift up through the front body. Exhale, fold over your front leg. Stretch the arms back behind you. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward once again. Right fingertips to the floor. Left arm stretches forward, then stacks over the right arm. Squeeze your left sit bone to your right inner thigh. Stretch your left arm overhead as you square your chest back towards the floor. Left fingers to the inside of your left foot. Back foot spins in. Right arm stretches forward. Push into your back foot a lot as you rise all the way up. Warrior two. Flip your front hand, stretch it into the room. Lift it up and back, reverse warrior. Bend your top elbow, keep your side body long as you hinge to the side. Left forearm, left thigh, right arm overhead. Reverse warrior. Straighten out through that front leg. Draw back through your left hip crease, slowly hinge to the side. Keep the spine long. When you feel the spine begin to want to bend, that's when you want to just reach down with your arm to the inside of your left shin or knee, and then stretch your right arm up, pushing back strongly into your right foot. Bend your front leg, reverse your warrior. Slow motion cartwheel back to the floor. Unplug your back foot. Left foot steps back, lower to the belly. Untuck your toes. Rise up through the chest. Land your chest. And press yourself back. Child's pose. Pull yourself forward through cat. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Downward facing dog. Walk your big toe mans together. Lift the heels nice and high until they're stacked right over top of your toes. Bend your knees and take them wide, stretching out the feet. Slowly hover your shin bones down to the floor. Then squeeze your inner heels, inner shins, inner thighs together as you lift the legs back up. Bend your knees, slowly hover the shin bones back down. Squeeze inner heels, inner shins, inner thighs. Lift your hips back up. Down dog. One more time. Bending the knees, taking them wide. This time lower the shin bones all the way to the floor. Untuck your toes, sit back onto your heels, and take a rest in your child's pose. You can let your elbows bend, let your forehead rest. I'll lift my head to talk so that you guys can hear me. As you're sitting back into your child's pose, really begin to rest your hips back towards your heels. Slow the breath down. If your preference is to have a narrow knee child's pose, you can go ahead and do that, and maybe even stretch the arms back behind you. Reach the arms forward once again if they're not there already. Take the knees a little bit wider here and then lift up through your chest. Walk your hands all the way to the left side of your mat. Finger walk your right hand a little further forward than the left, and then kind of glue your right hand to the floor. Bend your left elbow a little. Lower your head down. It doesn't have to land. You can push your left hand into the floor as you pull on your right hand. Let your right sit bone sit back a little heavier towards the heel. And then send all of your breath into the right side body. Be sure to be letting go of the jaw, the muscles of the face, and the root of the tongue. Lift your head up, walk your hands back through center, all the way over to the right side of your mat. This time, your left hand finger walks a little further forward. Your right elbow bends. Right side body is squeezing, left side body is lengthening. And then you're pushing that right hand into the floor as you create pull on the left side so that you're feeling that stretch all the way up the left side body and lats. Lower your head down. Does not have to land. Slow breaths to fill out the left side of your ribs. Pay no attention to what my head's doing. I'm just making sure you guys can still hear me. As you inhale, filling up the left side ribs, left lower waist. As you exhale, let your left sit bone get heavier towards the heel. One more breath in. And on the breath out, begin to walk your hands back to center. Pull yourself forward. Spin your shins off to one side. We'll come all the way down onto the back. Coming back to that position of knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Cross your right ankle over your left knee and press your right knee away from you. You can take your arms into a letter T-ish like shape. It doesn't have to be right out from the shoulders, but just for a little more stability. And then begin to rock your hips from side to side, just like that windshield wipers in the beginning, only now your ankle and knee are connected. Slowing the breath down. Really take this opportunity to begin to connect and feel into the body. Noticing the sensations in your hips and your lower back as you sway the legs from side to side. The next time your legs sway over to the right, keep the ankle and knee connected and just take a moment to sort of massage your right hip into the floor, just gently rocking a little here. And then rocking back through center, keep ankle and knee together as you lower the legs over to the left. Sole of the right foot comes down to the floor, and then reach down with your left hand for the right ankle. You might need to heel toe the foot a little closer to you. If it's not available, just hang it with the left hand on the floor. Otherwise, grabbing onto the ankle, pressing the knee away from you here once again, and then take your attention to the right side of your waist and lower back. And then breathe into the right lower back, waist, and ribs. Inflating that side. As you exhale, allow the right hip to feel heavier towards the floor. It will hardly move, but it's just the sense of letting go of that right hip towards gravity. Continue to send the breath into that side, that right hip, lower back, and just noticing the sensation. Not labeling it as good or bad, just feeling it.
slowly release the grip of your right ankle. Take that left arm back in line with your shoulder. Roll the legs back through center. Pause here with ankle and knee still together. Take a moment to just tip the weight a little heavier into your tailbone, lightening through the low back so there's a subtle arch behind your back. And then rounding your low back into the floor. Tailbone gets a little heavier. Tailbone gets lighter again as you let the lower back muscles relax. And then unravel your right leg. Pause for a breath here. Crossing your left ankle over your right knee. Begin to just sway the hips gently from side to side, really focusing on the movement of the pelvis more than anything else, and just allowing the legs to sort of follow along here at first. Letting the spine move, pelvis move, and the legs floating from side to side. You can allow the legs to get a little heavier towards the floor with each successive motion. Noticing if there's a significant difference from one side to the other. We often have one hip that's a little more restricted or a little more open than the other. Next time your legs sway over to the left, just hang out there for a moment and just gently rock that left hip into the floor, massaging out that hip. And then shifting your legs all the way back through center and over to the right. You can reach down with your right hand for the left ankle. If that's not available, just hang out with the leg here and press the knee away. Otherwise, you're hanging onto the ankle, pushing the left knee away from you, and then noticing the left lower quadrant of your torso. So that belly, rib cage, low back region. Sending your breath into that area. Inflating, and then deflating, letting the left side weigh a little heavier towards the floor. Slowing the breath down. Release the grip of your ankle. Open the arm back up to the side. Slowly sway your legs back to center. Keeping the ankle and knee together just for another moment. Begin to just rock forward and back through the pelvis. Getting heavier into the tail. And then lightening up into the tail, getting heavier into the low back. It's not your biggest motion. Just enough to mobilize the low back and hip. Letting go of any residual tensions. And then unwinding your left leg. continuing to hang out here, walking your feet a little wider apart, letting your knees knock in. Taking this half Shavasana or Ardha Shavasana shape. It's also called constructive rest. It's a really great position to stay in. If you have any issues with your lower back at all, this can be a more restful position than a standard Shavasana. So you have the option to stay here, or you could lengthen your legs out, take up lots of room, completely letting the weight of the body go. Really let the bones begin to drop into the floor. Noticing how the body feels on the inhale. Allowing the weight of gravity to take you on the exhale. And then slowly turning off the awareness to even the breath. Just allowing yourself to be here, to rest, completely letting go. And begin to notice the breath once again. And just allowing the breath to move through you however it feels good. Begin to wiggle the fingers and toes or take any other movements that feel really good. Maybe a good morning stretch, interlacing the fingers and stretching out, pushing out through the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet, really engaging the whole body and completely letting go. Bend one knee and then the other, sway your legs over to one side and then press yourself up. Coming into a cross-legged seat, closing your eyes, finding a nice tall spine. Prayer the hands at your heart. Thank yourself for practicing. Namaste.